A woman is accusing Sean Diddy Combs of and her when she was 16 years old in 2000.
This is the end of the Diddy story as we know it.
Let's plunge into one of the most jaw-dropping twists in the ongoing drama of Sean Diddy Combs, the baffling disappearance of his mother, Janice Combs. What could have compelled a woman who fiercely defended her son to suddenly vanish without a trace? This tale is packed with intrigue, scandalous whispers, and a tangled web of secrets that could upend everything. Buckle up. This is one wild ride into a family crisis as gripping as it is perplexing. The shocking revelation came earlier this week. Janice Combs, matriarch of the Combs family, has fled the country. Yes, you heard that right. The woman who stood unwaveringly by Diddy's side throughout his rocky career and recent legal battles has seemingly disappeared into thin air. Her departure wasn't just sudden, it was shrouded in secrecy, leaving even those closest to her grasping for answers. And let's be real, this isn't a simple getaway. This feels intentional, calculated, almost like she's escaping something or someone. Now, let's backtrack. For weeks, Janice had been her son's most vocal supporter, issuing statements that cast her as a devastated mother who believed in his innocence. She called the accusations against Diddy a public witch hunt, pleading with people not to rush to judgment before hearing his side. It seemed she was prepared to fight for him at all costs. So why would she suddenly disappear? That's the million-dollar question, and the truth might just be buried in her past.
That kind of environment growing up in is going to have an impact on a child growing up. Now, it doesn't make excuses for what people do in adulthood, and the form that can take really depends on a lot of different things, including things such as what are the family values? Are the family values about, being open and honest about things, or if there's trauma in a family, do families deal with it, or how is that child raised?
Let's start with the speculation surrounding her connection to Diddy's alleged misconduct. For years, there have been murmurs about the extravagant parties she hosted at their Mount Vernon home during Diddy's childhood. These weren't just casual get-togethers. According to old friends who have spoken in recent documentaries, these gatherings were anything but normal. Tim Patterson, a longtime friend of Diddy, recalled those nights as chaotic and unsettling. He claimed it was common to walk into rooms where no child should ever be present. Patterson even suggested that being raised in such an atmosphere might have played a role in shaping the behaviors Diddy is now accused of.
According to the Rolling Stone, the doc features an alleged childhood friend of Puff's, hip-hop producer Tim Dog Patterson. He alleged that Janice, Diddy's mom, would often throw parties at Diddy's childhood home. He says that during the parties, it wasn't uncommon to walk into rooms where adults was having that was just their normal.
But this is where things become even more complicated. Janice has long been known as a fiercely devoted mother, tirelessly working to secure a better future for her son. She enrolled him in private schools, ensured he was always well-dressed, and relocated the family to a safer neighborhood after the devastating loss of Diddy's father. So how does that reputation fit with the unsettling accounts of those parties? Was she merely making the sacrifices she believed were necessary to support her son, even if it meant turning a blind eye to the turmoil? Or was her connection to that world deeper than anyone ever suspected?
In the doc, when talking about the parties, Tim says, verbatim, "That's what we were privy to. This was what we were fed. Was it desensitizing us? I'm sure it was. Were we aware of it? No, that was just Saturday night."
Let's not ignore the timing of her disappearance. Right as Diddy's legal troubles intensified, with more accusers stepping forward and explosive documentaries making headlines, Janice was suddenly gone. Coincidence? Seems doubtful. Insiders are already whispering that her abrupt exit could be a strategic move to avoid getting dragged into the legal mess. If those infamous parties were as wild as rumored, what are the chances she'd be called to testify? And if she were forced to speak under oath, what truths might come to light? But there's another twist. Some sources claim Janice didn't just vanish. She allegedly took a sizable amount of money with her, funds that Diddy might desperately need as his legal fees mount. If true, it raises serious questions about her motives. Was she fleeing in fear? Or was she making a clean break and securing her own future before things got worse? Either way, her sudden departure has left a glaring void in Diddy's inner circle at a time when he needs support the most.
I think another question that we just can't ignore is the role of power. Because one question is, how does somebody become the way they are? And then another question is, how are they allowed to stay the way that they are? And I think that also speaks to this kind of, lack of accountability.
What makes this even more perplexing is the effect her disappearance has had on the Combs family. Diddy's children, already struggling with the intense media scrutiny surrounding their father's legal battles, now face the added distress of their grandmother's sudden vanishing act. Janice has always been a key figure in their lives, often seen at red carpet events and family celebrations. Her unexpected absence has left them reeling, with one insider describing the family dynamic as completely upended. It's hard not to wonder how this will impact their view of both their father and grandmother in the long run.
You know, there is so much literature and research that talks about this kind of multi-generational passing of not just trauma, but just ideas of what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman, what is acceptable behavior within this family, what is not acceptable behavior. You know, again, you know, for one family, you take responsibility for your behavior. For another person, for another family, it's don't get caught.
And this is where things get even more complicated. The FBI is reportedly keeping a close eye on Janice's disappearance. While she hasn't been charged with any crimes, her connection to Diddy's case could put her on their radar. Some sources believe it's only a matter of time before authorities start asking tougher questions, especially if she's sitting on critical information. As for her whereabouts, that remains a mystery. Some whispers place her in Europe, while others claim she's hiding out in the Caribbean. Whatever the truth may be, she's managed to stay under the radar, an impressive feat in today's hyper-connected world. But her vanishing act raises bigger questions. For one, it casts doubt on the narrative she's built over the years. She has always defended Diddy publicly, but her actions now hint at self-preservation, or something even more incriminating. Does she know more than she's let on? And if so, what impact could that have on Diddy's case? Her absence makes it harder for his legal team to paint him as a victim when one of his most loyal defenders has seemingly distanced herself. Then there's the question of legacy. Janice has long been seen as the resilient matriarch of the Combs family, a single mother who overcame hardship to raise a mogul. But her sudden disappearance threatens to tarnish that image, leaving behind more doubts than admiration. It's a stark reminder that even the strongest reputations can unravel under pressure. As this situation unfolds, one thing is certain: her escape has added another layer of intrigue to an already messy scandal. Whether she's fleeing the law, the spotlight, or her own conscience, she's left behind a storm of unanswered questions. And while Diddy faces the biggest battle of his life, he must now do so without the woman who has stood by him for decades. The consequences of her disappearance are only beginning to unfold, and the fallout may be far worse than anyone ever expected.
He thought that he was above the law, so I can only, think that, he was sloppy in the way that he did these crimes, that there's probably a trail of evidence.
Now, let's talk about Diddy's legal troubles. Calling them overwhelming barely scratches the surface. The accusations against him aren't just serious. They seem to grow more damning with each passing day. From allegations of coercion to claims of orchestrating elaborate events with questionable figures, the list keeps expanding. And that's just on the criminal side. On the civil front, the situation is just as dire. Lawsuits are flooding in at an alarming rate, with attorney Tony Busby reportedly representing a staggering 120 accusers. Yes, you read that correctly. 120. That number alone is enough to raise eyebrows. While Diddy's legal team is doing everything it can to discredit the claims and position him as a target of exaggerated accusations, the sheer magnitude of these cases makes them impossible to ignore.
Because Combs has been accused in multiple lawsuits of assaulting people. We thought an element of minors might be included here, but again, a civil lawsuit, the burden of proof is very different between a civil lawsuit and ultimately a criminal case.
So how does Janice's sudden disappearance fit into all of this? It's not just an emotional blow for Diddy, it's a logistical disaster. Let's not forget, she was one of his most outspoken defenders. Her public statements, where she dismissed the allegations as a public lynching, played a crucial role in his defense strategy. She was seen as the family's moral backbone, the one person who could attest to Diddy's character and upbringing. But now, with her abrupt vanishing, it feels like even those closest to him are distancing themselves. No one is saying it outright, but the speculation is growing. Could Janice's disappearance signal that she knows more than she's letting on? Is there a missing piece to this unfolding saga that has yet to be revealed?
And because the 8 people in the videos, the 8 celebrities in the videos were allegedly victims of crimes, we know who they are, but we will not be naming them, famous or not.
Financially, the situation looks just as grim. Insiders claim Diddy is facing a serious cash flow problem that could jeopardize his ability to build a solid legal defense. High-profile cases come with sky-high legal fees, and he needs the best attorneys money can buy. But with Janice allegedly taking a significant chunk of his remaining funds when she disappeared, his financial strain is worse than ever. Then there are the settlements. While Diddy's team insists that paying off certain lawsuits doesn't equate to an admission of guilt, the reported payouts have been massive. Each one chips away at his fortune, leaving him with fewer resources to fight the mounting legal battles ahead.
First of all, I can only imagine how sloppy Sean Combs was with evidence when he got busted with those 2 machine guns or 3 machine guns with the altered serial numbers. So I really don't trust Sean Combs or the people around him's ability to properly cover up anything. So I envision that you're going to see a trial, payments from his Amex for flights for people, straight payments directly from his company.
But the financial strain goes beyond legal fees. Diddy's once thriving business empire is starting to unravel. From his record label to his fashion ventures and liquor brand, every aspect of his empire is facing heightened scrutiny. Sponsors are pulling out, partnerships are dissolving, and the public's perception of him is shifting fast. Even some of his most loyal associates are reportedly stepping back, unwilling to be associated with the growing scandal. It's a domino effect. One collapse could send the entire empire crumbling.
Is important because this happened in hotels, in places that have surveillance, that there's records that could be consistent with his testimony about when he alleges that these parties took place. He probably has his own information about who attended the events. When you're somebody like Sean Combs and you're such a celebrity and you're engaged in this type of behavior, people around you are memorializing it.
And then there's the state of the family. What's left of it anyway? Janice's sudden absence has created a void that no one else seems able to fill. Diddy's children, already struggling under the weight of their father's legal turmoil, now have to process the unexpected loss of their grandmother. It's worth noting that Janice was a stabilizing force in their lives, the thread that held everything together. She was there for school milestones, red carpet appearances, and family vacations. Her abrupt departure feels like another devastating blow, leaving the family unsettled. One insider described the mood in the Combs household as tense and fragile, with everyone feeling the strain and unsure of what the future holds.
He is very, very dominant. Like, he wants to control the situation. He wants to control his inner circle. He wants to make everyone have a good time and enjoy his parties. And so, it is scary because you think, this person or possibly his social network or the people he's around could make or break your career.
Janice's sudden disappearance raises serious questions. How much did she know before Diddy's allegations surfaced? Was she complicit, or is she fleeing to protect herself? While the truth may never be fully revealed, her absence adds another twist to an already chaotic story. As Diddy's legal troubles mount, his empire appears more fragile than ever. With each lawsuit and shocking revelation, the uncertainty grows. Will he regain control? Or is this the beginning of his downfall? One thing is clear, this saga is far from over. Stay tuned, because when it comes to the Combs family, nothing is ever predictable. What do you think? Drop a comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.